Yeah, here it is right now.
Spread your cheeks, Maddie.
Reality recaps. You heard it first.
Say what?
Or we could put a canoe to the top and I could lay in the canoe.
I think Jared is in charge of the douche canoe. Hey everybody, and welcome to a very special Big Brother Canada 4 recap show with the one, the only Ramsey. But before we bring him on, you guys know the deal. You can see all of our past interviews, shows, recaps about Big Brother Canada at yourrealityrecaps.com/bbcan. If you are watching in YouTube, you can click on these buttons. They're right over here. Thumbs up and subscribe. That really helps support our shows. iTunes 5-star rating and a nice review. If you want to help support our shows, consider becoming a patron. You get access to the patron group and so much more. If you want to be an updater for BB18, go to yourrealityrecaps.com/BB18updaters. And lastly, if you're interested in the BB18 feeds and want to support us, you can buy them through yourrealityrecaps.com/feeds. Of course, you guys know the deal. Spread the word, share the show right now. And if you have any questions for Ramsey, become a fan and then tweet us them with hashtag YRRLive. So, without further ado, baby boo, here he is, Ramsey!
We need a cue like an applause or something, like a exactly.
Ramsey, we're a one-person show here. We're doing it all. Ramsey, how are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Here in Toronto, it is so humid and the weather is so sticky, but it's so nice outside because I've been complaining about the cold when it was cold, and now that the hot is here, I'm happy.
Yeah, you're right. Look, we're right below you. We're right in New York. So yeah, It's like 90 degrees today and disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
I am not a fan of it.
Yeah.
I also want to let everybody know the number one fan, and Ramsey, you already did this, the number one fan of this show is going to win Ramsey's autograph, and anybody that just retweets and shares the show, you guys are entered for giveaways for Ramsey's autograph.
So simple. Retweet and share it.
Retweet and now there's a new feature in you now that you can tweet out videos, so I'm dreading this.
All right.
I don't know that it's going to be good. All right, Ramsey, we have a lot to laugh about. We have a lot of strategy to get to, but we need to know what everybody, of course, wants to know right off the bat, and it is, how is your dad doing?
Dad is doing good. He's doing all right. He is as people may or may not be aware, my dad had a heart attack. He was in the hospital for quite some time. He's out of the hospital now, and he's at home. And he's actually got some nurses that come in and check up on him all the time. So it's good to know that he's being looked after. But thankfully, it's a slow recovery. But as long as it's a recovery, we're happy.
And I'm sure this is a stupid question, or I'm sure we already know the answer, but obviously no regrets in your decision.
Oh my God, none. Absolutely not. In fact, I'm so happy it happened this way because my dad, he's kind of I wouldn't say he's a pessimist, but he definitely is hard on himself. And so the amount of, positive energy that fans and just past house guests had been giving us while he was recovering, it helped him. And for all we know, he needed that to get through it. So I'm so happy that everything happened the way it did. And I don't regret a single choice at all.
Perfect. I love to hear that. I think a lot of things happened with you this season that were very inspirational. I think were very inspiring to people, from how you handled the situation with your dad. You and Raul praying together, I think, is something we would never see on our Big Brother here in the States.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of United States fans love that and love those moments that you brought to the house.
For sure.
Now, that being said, Ramsey, your dad aside, I have 2 bones to pick with you.
Oh, let's pick them.
Number 1. Actually, I lied. I got 3 bones to pick with you. We're going to start easy.
Just tack them on. Soon there's going to be 4.
Okay. First, Dana, who is in the chat room, taking questions from everybody. She loves and lives for your catchphrase and would like you to say it to her. You know what it is.
What it do, baby boo? You know, that's so funny that so in my real life before the show, I only said that as a joke. It was always a joke. I'd say it to my friends, guys, girls, doesn't matter. It was what it do, baby boo, always. And then when I came out of the house, like I went straight from literally I left the Big Brother house and I went straight to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, someone in the hospital, as I was walking by them, was like, what it do, baby boo? Like across the hallway. And I'm like, what? 'Cause I haven't seen any episodes. I didn't know if they were going to like show any of that. So it was just so funny. And now people kind of just like say it like me as a joke. It's funny.
I hated you for it for one reason. We could never stop saying it. It just got stuck in your brain, and we would just say it for no reason. People would be like, how you doing today? I'd be like, what it do, baby boo? Baby boo. Anybody. My dog, I was calling my dog what it do, baby boo. People at their supermarket, everybody. It just got stuck in our heads, and we couldn't get rid of it.
That was so funny. That is hilarious. Yeah, man. Everyone's a baby boo. Even when I casted Canada's vote, it's like for one last time, what it do, baby boos across Canada.
Did Arissa love it? Did she say that?
Oh, she loved it. She'll always like message me now. She's like, hey, what's going on, baby boo? Like she's just my baby boo. Like the funny thing was I never used it in the house. I only used it when I was speaking to Arissa, and I wanted to save it specifically for Arissa.
Right.
So when we did our final press interview as a whole house at the end of the season, it was like all of us there. We did like a Facebook live stream. And I think I had said to the Facebook live stream, I was like, what it do, baby boo? And everyone was like, what? Like, because I forgot that no one, obviously no one knows what goes on in that diary room when you cast your vote. So they were all like, wait, what did you just say? And I'm like, oh, you guys will see when you watch the show. Don't worry.
Now, have you watched any of the show?
I'm on episode 8.
You're on? Okay.
I haven't really watched that much, but I'm slowly making my way there.
Tons of people want to know, has your opinion changed of anybody since you are now watching the show back at all?
No, I don't think. I mean, I knew that the way I felt in the house about certain players was going to be a house thing. And so, like, coming out of the house, I knew I'd be fine. Like, for example, Cassandra, I wanted her out of the house so bad. Since like the second week, I kind of seen right through her, and I wanted her out because I knew she'd be a strong player. But just because in the house I'm gunning after someone, and I'm doing what I need to do and saying what I need to say to get rid of that person, that doesn't mean that outside of the house. But I mean, I have learned some things like since coming out of the house and watching the episodes, not in a bad way. I just learned like, when I got out of the house with my dad and we were in the hospital and he'd want to watch the episodes, we'd be watching and like just seeing Cassandra fight, and I'm like, wow, this girl like really fought behind my back, or like behind the doors when no one was looking, and she was campaigning. So there was things that you kind of seen about people, but not that it changed the way I felt about them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's not bury the lead. Let's get how you feel about one specific person on the table right now, because I'm going to let you speak on it how you want. I'm just going to kind of tell you what we saw as fans.
Yeah.
A kind of relationship forming with you and Maddie.
Yep.
And then Maddie kind of got out of the house and was kind of like, Ramsey, I got a boyfriend at home. And then you, Bibi, and your mom were like, poof, her who?
God, yeah.
Who's the hell's Maddie? And then the show happened, and Maddie was like, I love him. And then you were like, what? And then all of a sudden, you two haven't been separated in the last week.
Yeah.
Fill us in, Ramsey.
What's going on?
What's going on?
Let's talk. So basically what happened is me and Maddie had spoken like a lot in the house. First things first, me and Maddie, we were friends in the house first. It was never like I seen her and it was like, oh, I'm going to go for her. She said she was going to go for me or anything like that. We were in alliance with Dallas. It was me, Maddie, and Dallas. And so, yeah, I mean, we kind of just like clicked, and I never like cared about, I think her relationship with Nick, I think a lot of people think that was like something like she actually liked him or anything. It wasn't. It was pretty strategic. You know, me, Dallas, and Maddie knew that was going on the whole time. And so when everyone kind of saw her get drawn towards me, it's not like she went from one guy to the other. It's like there was never anything really with Nick.
Right.
So yeah, me and Maddie just kind of hit it off, and like she's an awesome girl. And obviously, when she left the house, she in her exit interviews, I interpreted what she said was like, oh, her heart is with someone back home. So I was like, I can't change the way she feels. Like if that's how she feels, and I respect that. And so I was kind of like was under that impression that she's moved on. And so it's not that, I know a lot of people love the video of me and my mom, and when it was like, hey mom, say what's up to the fans, and she's like, hey, just me, Ramsey, no Maddie. People kind of, I was so surprised that people took that the way they did. It was never intended to take a shot at her. It was almost like it's just me here, and because I was always in the house with Maddie, there is no Maddie. My mom, she's pretty vocal on Twitter, so obviously she didn't like the way Maddie was playing the game. But like my mom loves Maddie. She thinks she's an awesome girl. Like she's, said that time and time again, but she just wasn't a fan of her game. And that's what fans need to realize is like the people in the game, you're one person, and outside of the house, you're another. And obviously it's not night and day. Things kind of, carry over. But yeah, so what happened is after, I heard that I was under the impression she had moved on, and I got to respect her for that. So I was like, cool, I'm going to move on too. And then so I kind of, we met at finale night, and you guys seen the reaction. She was so happy to see me again. And that was really the first time we had spoke. The thing is, like, she was in jury. I should have been in jury, and we never had a chance to speak. So things were kind of in this limbo stage. But she's a fan of Toronto. She's never been here. This is my city. I love Toronto. And so she wanted to stay here in Toronto. And I said, hey, listen, if you want to stay, I can totally show you around. And that's kind of why for the past week, everyone's kind of been seeing us together, is because she's been staying in Toronto. And I've been trying to take her to all like the places that I would take anyone that wanted to come visit Toronto. And but she's back in Vancouver now. And I mean, we're not officially dating or anything. I know a lot of people are wondering, like, are you guys a couple? I mean, we're not Facebook official or anything like that. But I talk to her all the time. I talk to her every day. She's someone who, for whatever, we went through this crazy experience in the house. So I'll always care about her. I'll always talk to her no matter what, no matter what. So, but that's kind of where her and I stand.
Okay. Now let me say this.
Yeah.
I almost want to tell you this after my next question, but I'm going to say it to you now. Anybody who wants to know what Maddie is thinking of this relationship can find out on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Nice. I'm going to have to tune into that.
And Kelsey will be on tomorrow. So tomorrow is Kelsey at 7 p.m. Eastern. Friday is Maddie. Now, Ramsey.
Yeah.
We ask the hard questions here.
I can take them, man. I can take it.
I am notorious for outing Fingergate. I need to give you your say when it comes to, I think, what we were calling Buttgate or Butt Cheek Gate or Spread Your Cheeks Maddie.
Oh, my God.
So, Ramsey, we all kind of saw that on the feeds and we're like, say what?
I found out about that like maybe like almost 2 weeks after I got out of the house. I think I was just like checking Twitter, and someone was like, oh, like something about Spread Your Cheeks. And I was like, what are they talking about? I had no idea. So yeah, let me speak to that and then kind of put that to rest. Cause I really I don't pay mind to much things on Twitter. Like I've obviously seen that's been talked about. I just don't really care to talk to it. But me and Maddie, that's our relationship, is like, we love to joke around. We love to just like have fun and like give each other a hard time and like talk about stupid things, that whatever people talk about. So that time we were kind of laying down, obviously we were like cuddling, and I was like, all right, spread your cheeks, Maddie. Here we go. Totally joking. And then all of a sudden, I guess production, for whatever reason, thought it was the real deal. And there was someone in the room. So A, I'm not going to be doing the business on TV. Okay, there's no way that was going to happen. B, I just never even cared to tell anyone that nothing happened, But yeah, here it is right now on the reality recaps. You heard it first. Nothing happened. It was just kind of the way we talk and joke around. And I always joke around like that. So.
Okay, I love it. Now, Ramsey, I have a question from the chat room.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I have no idea what it says.
Okay.
I don't know if maybe you do. Okay. So here you go.
What the heck?
Okay, you can't read it either, so forget it.
That looks like a it almost looks like a Indian or it almost looks like Indian cursive or something like that. That's not Arabic. So for people who are wondering, I am Middle Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
We speak, like, I'm Palestinian and we speak Arabic, and so I actually do read and write Arabic. Unfortunately, that's not Arabic, or else I'd be able to, like, answer that question.
Sorry,
too bad.
Dana.
I bet you it's such a good one.
I bet you it was too. Dana, like, we have a private live thing open, and she's like, "See if Ramsey can read this."
We should always guess what that person said.
Okay, I got it. Here's what it says. It says, great. It's a comment, Ramsey. It says, so. Thanks for clearing up your relationship with Maddie and putting Buttgate to bed. You're the best.
Buttgate to bed. I like that.
There you go. But oh, well, that probably wasn't good. Let me ask you a question from one of our patrons. Zachary wants to know, Ramsey, would you ever go back into the house if you could?
I would. I think that week that I left the show, I was in an alliance with, like, Lavita was a close member, in the house with me. Dallas and Maddie were my go-tos. And I was basically the last surviving person. And that's kind of, I think, because it's actually funny, and we'll talk about this as the show goes on, about sort of my lack of airtime in the beginning of the game and how people misinterpret that with not playing the game, where I took it as a compliment. But that was my week when all my Alliance members, for lack of a better word, were out of the house. I was on my own. I didn't have Maddie, and obviously people saw me and Maddie argue about, like, who should be on the block or what kind of decisions, but me and her were always on the same page. And so I would have been free. I would have had the chance to work with Tim. I would have had the chance to work with Cass if I wanted. Even though I knew she wanted me out, I would have pretended like I could have worked with her. I'm not sure if people I know the Feedsters knew this, but I don't know if the rest of Canada knew how close Jared and I were. And I think that just came down to the fact that him and I bunked on the first, week of the show.
Right.
So I felt like I was in an amazing position to move forward in that game. And it's too bad I can't show what would have unfolded. So if the opportunity to come back, lands on my plate, I would love that. I would love to properly be evicted from the show, and I'd love to showcase, like, what I could have done.
I think a lot of people would really, one of the twists that we came up with that we thought would be super fun is if they put you back in as, like, a twist almost right where you left off next season.
That would actually be crazy. I think the fans would, like, trip, for lack of a better word, if that happened. I mean, who knows? Like, I think I was in there for 51 days, and obviously I would have lasted that week. I mean, it was pretty unanimous that week that Maddie was going to be the one. Actually, it didn't even matter. I won the POV, so I would have been safe for the next week either way.
Right. A lot of people ask this: if you had to play the game the way the brothers played it, where you are tied to one other person, but you're obviously playing as one person, so two people playing as one person, you had to pick anybody from any Big Brother, yours, United States, who would you be tied to?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I, as people may or may not know, I'm not a super fan. It's not like I've watched every season of Big Brother USA and, Big Brother Canada. I did watch 2 and 3, and that kind of gave me all that I wanted to go in the house. But if I were to be tied with someone, I feel that I'd want to be tied with someone like, I wouldn't want to be tied with the Dan Gieslings and the Doctor. I feel like they're too crazy for my liking. I'm a lot more calm. I don't know. I actually don't know the type of person that I want to time. I don't think I'm educated enough on the type of players and the way they played and stuff like that. So is it fair to say I don't know? Is that an answer?
Yeah, that's fair. And I love you. I agree. Don't work with Dan Giesling.
Yeah.
Mitchell's Moffat, not to be confused with Mitch, in the chat room says,
I know that person. I like him.
Okay, it's a her. Ramsey, you said multiple times in exit interviews that out of the house, Mitch and his game surprised you the most. Yeah. Why is that specifically?
I was like, that whole spiel about the probability, and I was hook, line, sinker. Like, that was like, listen to the guy. What he's saying is right. There's a crazy, probability that one of these three are going to win the game. So I was all in that, and he totally made it up. I still haven't watched that episode, but obviously I heard of it, and so I think that surprised me. In addition, I knew Mitch was floating in the game, but I didn't know how hard he was actually playing the game. That he was, in some ways like Tim, trying to get others to go against each other. I trusted, Mitch, and from what I understood, he trusted me. And so we were kind of on that same page, but I still don't know. I haven't even spoke to Mitch about it. I don't know if it was a legitimate trust or he at some point wanted to come after me, but I felt like Mitch wasn't playing as strategic as he was. And so when I came out of the house and I seen that, he had like all these things going and he wanted Kelsey out so bad. And I'm like, wow, like this guy surprised me. So
yeah, Mitch, I think Mitch surprised a lot of people playing the game. Giselle BB17 wants to know, what was your first impression of the wild cards, Nikki and Tim?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. For someone who, I loved it not for the reason that maybe a super fan would love it, where I was like, oh my God, you get to hang out with Tim and Nikki. I loved it because I seen them as someone who had played the game before. So obviously they were going to give us, a few advice. Like I knew at some point they'd need to be out of the house, but for lack of a better word, they were a mentor in some way. And I love the fact that like they have been in the house, so they were able to come bring like games. Like Tim made the house so fun, A, because of who he is, but B, he told us about games he would play in Australia. We played backyard games with him. We played in the house games with him. He's been through the game. We haven't. So for that reason, I was stoked. And obviously at the end of the day, I knew that these are two people outside of Canada who I'm going to share a special bonding experience with. And for someone who loves to travel, I was like, this is going to be a great opportunity. If they ever want to come to Toronto, they always know they have a home in my condo. And if I ever go to UK, I get to see them, or Australia.
Now, do you do any Nikki impression?
I knew you were going to ask this. I knew it. I don't even really do, like, me and Nikki did all sorts of impressions in the house, but I was just praying to God they wouldn't be aired because they were terrible. But you should say, I just want some chocolate or bananas. I don't know. She'd always want her chocolate and bananas. So I can't even do a good accent, but
I can't either. And that's exactly what I do. I got chocolate, vodka. That's my Nikki impression.
Exactly. That's right.
Chocolate, vodka.
I just need some potassium.
Right. I just think, yeah, I know. She was the best. She did an impression of you, and I don't remember what she did
I think she might have said Ramsey, or like in the house, she made, because whenever, production would call you and they say like, Ramsey, stop that, or Ramsey, whatever. She always used to kind of repeat that. And then so the whole house started calling me Ramsey. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's what she did, but I know in the house, that's all she talked about.
Now, I used to, our fun, comedic recaps, what we used to poke fun at you about all season was, and before your dad thing, was the crying, Ramsey. We said your shirt needed to be made out of Kleenex, Ramsey. What was with all the crying? Although,
man. Honestly, Eric, I don't know what it is, man. When I get emotionally, like, when my emotions are peaked, so it doesn't matter whether that emotion is like happiness, anger, if I'm sad, regardless of the emotion, if it's peaked and it's like, I'm so happy, I'm going to cry out of joy. Right. And if I'm mad, I'm going to get furious and just like cry. Or if I'm sad, I'm going to cry. I don't know what it is, but the way that I express myself is through crying. And like, I knew even going into the house, all my friends know that, I'm the crier of the group. I'm proud of it. I love the fact that that's kind of how I express myself. And I was never ashamed of it in the house. I knew people were going to poke fun out of it, but like for me, it's always fun. Like it doesn't bother me when people call me a crybaby or like say that my shirt needs to be made out of tissue paper or Kleenex. But I don't know, man. I cry.
I will say this, Ramsey. I would much rather be friends with or anything with somebody that isn't afraid to show their emotions than somebody who is.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of ways, I know I said it for Raul, I think it holds true for you too. I think both of you in a lot of ways were like the heart of the show, which is why people took it so personally.
I was surprised to see that Raul also had that too, because in the house, Raul to me was like no emotion. I was like, this guy has no emotion, but you don't see him cry like so much behind the scenes. And that's why it's so nice and funny to see kind of, the show and who's crying and stuff. Like they show Raul crying. They didn't even show me cry half the time. So if you guys,
oh boy.
Like for the people who didn't watch the live feeds, they're probably like, okay, he cries a lot, but you had no idea. Like I was crying. Like I remember when Jared won his HOH and his letter he got a letter from his mom. That was like my first breaking point in the game. It's like he was speaking about his mom and her letter, and I could just hear my mom's voice saying the words that were on that letter, and I lost it. And they never showed it in the house. So I was like, yeah, like snuck away from that one. But yeah.
Well, speaking of playing the game in the house, Angie Starr wants to know, why did Maddie want to call your alliance with Dallas the Flakes?
Because it's so funny that people I honestly forget these things. Because so this is another thing that wasn't aired. Man, there's so much to talk about here. I actually love this because I'm even venting it out. So
go.
Me and Dallas, they never showed this on TV. Obviously, the feedsters know about it, but we had a falling out. So it was the first week, and it was Kelsey and Paige, and it was me, Dallas, Shari, and Maddie, who had voted to keep Paige in the house. And us four plus Lavita, who was HOH because she couldn't vote, were in an alliance together. And then, so the other three, Jared, Kelsey, and Raul, they didn't know who the fourth vote is. They knew Shari. They knew Maddie voted for Kelsey out. I told Kelsey that I was voting for her. Most of the time, the person who's being voted for by me, I told them that I was voting for them. And then the last person was Dallas, and we kept it under wraps because he was in with Jared, Kelsey, and Raul, and we kind of saw that group was forming, and we wanted an in there, and Dallas was our in because he smoked with them. So just by sheer association, when they were smoking, they would bond. So they were like, who's that fourth vote? And I was trying to get it pinned on Cassandra. That was the plan. We weren't going to tell the house, and we're going to pin it on Cassandra and get her out of the house. But they kind of, in that house, you can only put up an image for so long. And when Dallas is hanging around us more than he's hanging around them, they kind of put one and one together. And then one night we were drunk, or they were, because I don't drink, but they were like, Dallas, we know it's you. Dallas, we know it's you. And Ramsey told us it was you, but they made that up just to get him to break, and he broke. And so he was like, how could you throw me under the bus? And me and him had a falling out. So that was our first falling out. Then Dallas got annoyed with Maddie one day. And he was like, man, Maddie's just not seeing eye to eye with Lavita. And so Dallas was sick of, Maddie. Then Maddie got mad at Dallas because he was going closer to Lavita. So we were just flaking all the time. So we said that we had this 3-person alliance, but it was we had it, but it was never as strong, or it was always questioned, whereas other alliances weren't questioned. But at the end of the day, it was an alliance. It sucked when Dallas and Maddie were on the block together because those were my two closest people. But and there's a whole story behind that vote too. But I mean, that's why we were the Flakes, because we just always flaked on each other, but we always came back.
I love it. Here's a good question. It's from I'm Sick and Twisted. Let's go with this one. She's sick and twisted, and she's good. She says it's 2-parters, and she's one of our patrons. She says, why did you team up with Maddie before the showmance? Or showmance, knowing she had turned on 2 of her previous allies, Lavita and Dallas? I'll start there.
Yeah. So I was with Maddie. We kind of formed an alliance week 1. It was me, Shari, Maddie, Dallas, and Lavita. Mm-hmm. So I was working with her, regardless of the showmance or not. I was working with her. And then when she turned on Lavita, I knew it was because Maddie was that week. Lavita was trying to make... Actually, that's where I am right now, where I'm following the episodes. I'm at the episode now where Lavita is trying to re-solidify the bridge she burnt with the 3, as well as she has me, Dallas, and Maddie. So she was just sketchy that week. She was trying to play all sides. We weren't sure. And Maddie, in particular, was sketched out by Lavita. So that's why she turned on her. It wasn't it's not even like she really turned on Levita. She just didn't realize that Levita really would have been on our side, not the 3. But for whatever reason, Maddie felt that if she got rid of Levita, the whole house would have been happy and the whole house would have loved her. And they did for a couple of days. And then, things kind of went back to whatever they were. But so that was Levita. And then the week of Dallas, when she kind of put Dallas on the block, it's like they were both on the block and they decided not to play the same games that Kelsey and Raul were going to play. They're my friend forever. I'm going to not going to campaign. They're like, let's campaign. Let's do it. Let me just speak quickly to that, because that week, what had happened was the house was we assumed Nikki was going to vote to keep Dallas.
Right.
And so I was the last vote, and I was torn because I didn't want to vote out Dallas and I didn't want to vote out Maddie. I was like, these are my 2 number ones. So I decided to vote for Maddie because I knew that she had 3 votes, Dallas had 4, and I wanted it to be a tie. And I wanted it to be a 4-4 tie and let Tim vote one of them out, not me.
Okay.
So I was always under the impression that Nikki was going to vote Dallas out. In fact, she told the house that she was going to vote Dallas out. And then what happened is there was a little argument between Dallas and Mitch. And then Mitch kind of, said I'm worried. I think Dallas is going to come after me next week. And, Nikki loves Mitch. And she's like, I'm not going to let that happen. So I'm going to vote out Dallas without telling anyone, even though she told us all before that she was going to keep Dallas. She switched it. So for that reason, I voted Maddie in. If I had known that, I probably would have voted to keep Dallas in. Because again, I didn't want to be the swing vote to vote out one of my alliance members. I wanted it to go down to Tim, who was HOH that week. So
right, that was very smart.
So I never felt like Maddie turned on Levita or Dallas. And at the end of the day, it might have seemed that way. I still haven't seen up to those episodes. They might have edited the episodes to make it seem like Maddie was sketchy, but I knew she was not going to vote me out. I knew that no matter what, she was a vote for me. I was a vote for her. And I wanted to work with her and continue that up. And it was always like that. So, yeah.
Interesting. That's good. A lot of people have been asking, Tracy Laura said, what did you think of Maddie getting Levita out? You kind of answered that. So,
I didn't really care that she did it. If it were up to me, I didn't want her to do that. I think that was a mistake. Personally, Levita should have stayed in the house. She would have, at the end of the day, I think she would have ended up working with me, Dallas, and Maddie. Mm-hmm. And that's a number that we could have had. If it were my decision, I wouldn't have done that. And if I had no idea, that was a double HOH. And literally everyone's like, all right, we're voting out Levita. I'm whoa, wait a second here. But there was no time to campaign for her. It was there was 8 people all on me. We're voting out Levita. We're voting out Levita. I'm like, well, shit.
Mm-hmm. It's that's the way it goes sometimes, Rams. That's the way it goes.
That's the game, yeah.
That's the way it goes. Here's another question from one of our patrons, Shelly Tucker, who says, if you didn't have to leave, who were you wanting to work with the most going forward, along with Maddie? Who would you want to work with the most?
Well, moving forward, I don't think Maddie would have been in the house. I think she would have been voted out regardless. Because I would have played the power veto on myself. I knew I was going to play the POV on myself the second I won it. And then we all had the idea that Tim was going up. Mm-hmm. We all knew that. And we thought that Maddie would have gone over Tim. Had I moved forward, I think I would have worked closely with Jared because he's someone that kind of I had always on the wraps. But at the same time, I wanted to work with Tim. I never realized as quickly maybe as Mitch did that Tim was in it to win it. But by the time that I left, I knew that Tim was in the game to win it. And I knew that he had a lot of say in the house. And so I wanted to align myself with him. And he told me in the house that he does not want to work with Cassandra. I pitched him an alliance with me, Maddie, Cassandra, and Tim. And he said, no, I don't want Cassandra in there. And he might say that he did that because he didn't want to expose what he had with Cassandra. But we could sit here and debate that. I thought he meant it. I thought he actually didn't want to work with her because Cassandra, she talks a lot. Obviously, helped her in her game and it worked. But I believe that Tim wouldn't have worked as close with her had I stayed in the house.
That's interesting. That is, I actually didn't even consider that.
Separate them for sure.
I'm going to fire some quick comments and ones that you can answer quickly for you. First, Sherry Blackberry just wants you to know, damn, Ramsey is hot. Just saying.
Boo.
Leslie says, how tall are you, Ramsey?
I'm 6'2".
Jolly G says, will Ramsey watch Tim or Nikki's season?
I want to, yes.
You do want to? Okay. Here's one that's a little bit more. I'm just seeing if there's any ones, because basically those are ones that a ton of people are asking, and that's just to ask them quick. I wanted to get those off the list. Garrett Girl 123 says, who do you think deserved to win the game?
Like out of everyone in the house?
Everybody.
It's tough because I haven't honestly watched the whole season, but from what I gather from Twitter and everything, the people who I know were playing the hardest were like Tim, Cassandra, Mitch. But if I was in that house, I would have given Cassandra a hard time because I seen how good of a player she was from week 2, and I wanted her out for that reason. I knew she would say what she needed to say. She would lie when she needed to lie and do whatever it took to win the game. And that's like, I commend someone for that. Like, I tried, obviously you have to lie in the game. I tried to keep that to a minimum. But with Cassandra, there was no filter. It was like, I'm in it to win it. And you got to respect her for that. So I wanted her out of the house for that reason. And she knew I was onto her. So for that reason, she wanted me out because I was in her way to win. But yeah, I'd say Mitch, Tim, and Cassandra played it pretty well.
So you wouldn't have been one of the people who, let's say, wouldn't have been happy with a Tim win? Or I'll just say, would you have been okay with Tim winning the game?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't care that he was an international.
Mm-hmm.
I would have considered the fact that he had already won a considerable amount of money, and it would have been nice to maybe give that money to somebody else. But I mean, if it was Tim and like Kelsey in the final 2 or Tim and the brothers, I think it would have been Tim. I would have given it to Tim. Or I mean, I would have voted that way. I don't know if Canada would have.
That's actually, I don't know how Canada would have went with that one.
I think they would have put Tim.
You do?
I do think.
God, I have such theory. I don't want to say. I have theories. People know what my theories are. I don't want to say my theories on a show with you on it because I don't know if it would be good. I can tell you after. Here is a question from, I'm sorry, I don't know who it's from, but they want to know, we only saw you praying a few times on the show. Did you do that off camera the other times?
No, so I like in my religion, we're supposed to pray 5 times a day. I don't pray 5 times a day. The time that Raul asked me to pray, that was like, that was a stressful week for me. It was like I forget what week it was, but I felt like so stressed and I was going to pray regardless. And then when Raul said, I think that's how it came up. I was like, man, I need to pray. And Raul was like, oh, I would love to join you. I've always been interested in that, and I kind of want to see how it goes down. And so that's why me and him did that. But for the most part, it's not like I prayed much after. But like I obviously prayed a few times, but not like the 5 times a day that we're supposed to.
Was there ever an option, I think this might be from Dana, was there ever an option to use the POV on Maddie before you left the house?
It's a good question. I get that a lot. I played the POV on myself before I made the decision to leave the house. So I won the POV. I found out about the news. I had no idea at that point whether you get consumed in the game. Like, obviously it's a no-brainer to leave, but you consider like, I was told that my dad wanted me to stay in the game. And so for that reason, like, man, he must be okay. Like, maybe I can stay in the game. And you're so consumed. And like I said, that was my week to finally, kill it. And I was going to really crush it for the rest of the game. And so I decided that in case I were to stay, I'm going to play the POV on myself. But then afterwards, I obviously needed to make the decision to leave, but I had already played it on myself and all that footage, you guys got it all. So there was never that option.
Sherry, actually, no, I'm going to go with Alice's tweet HB wants to know, how was Niagara Falls?
Oh my God, it was crazy. Niagara Falls was actually crazy. It was like, if you missed it, you really missed a fun party. It was all of us there. We went everywhere together. We did everything together. It's like I got to meet all the previous house guests. Yeah, there's not going to be many times, you get to kind of be with everyone at once. And so if that ever comes, next year when it comes around again, you guys should be there. We will be I'm going to each individual person kind of in the house, all the house guests are kind of doing their thing across Canada. I have some, huge news coming up soon. I'll be making tons of appearances, so you guys will stay tuned for that. But yeah, you'll get your share at me and some of the others, but not everyone together at once.
Interesting. We're gonna talk about that at the end. I know people at the end are gonna want to know where they can see you and stuff like that.
Yeah, you'll know.
Okay, and we'll tweet it out for you too. Joma wants to know, Ramsey, would you do an international Big Brother like UK BB or UK Israel?
Yeah, I would, because I think the concept of the fans voting,
right?
People don't realize who I was in the house is not exactly who I am outside of the house. I'm crazy outside of the house. And I'm that sober crazy guy, and that's kind of what got me on the show. But it's in the house, I knew that I need to be more tame. I wanted to be more composed. I think it's hilarious that I started watching, I watch it on this TV right behind me in my condo, but I thought it was hilarious that the first thing that Canada ever seen of me was when I prayed with Raul. So I was like, oh man, I'm this Zen, so calm. And that's why people thought, I read things like, oh, he's a boring player and stuff like that. I took that as a compliment. It just showed that I wasn't in the spotlight. And in this house, you don't always want to be in the spotlight. You want to fly under the radar. And that's exactly what I did. I threw so many competitions. It was hilarious. Me and Maddie that week, I was telling her about all the competitions I threw. Mm-hmm. And she just kept punching me. She's like, you idiot. We needed that. I was like, I'm sorry. But yeah. So I would love to do that in an international one. That'd be fun.
It would be fun. I think it's hard to make storylines or to focus on any one person for any length of time, in those earlier episodes. But I agree. I'm sure we know they're making a television show and there's storylines.
Yeah.
So that was your storyline.
But it's totally fine. But it just goes to the reason I share that is if I was in the house where it wasn't the house guests voting, mm-hmm. you would see the real me, which is I'm way crazier. I'm way more fun. It's not as low key. And yeah.
What was your favorite comp that you played in?
Ooh, that's a good question. I love the Allegiant. Divergent series Allegiant. I love that one. That was that
was the mouse one, right?
No, that was the one where we had to go we were at rock climbing gear on or whatever, and we had to grapple down, and then we had to get these sticks and
oh, got it. I think that was the one episode.
Was crazy. Big Brother killed it. We walked into that backyard and he was like, whoa, it was just man, Big Brother, I can't say enough amazing things. They killed it this season. You guys see on TV these challenges and you only get a little glimpse. When you're there and you're looking around, it's it's mind-blowing that they could put this in your backyard where, every other day there's a workout center there and there's the pool table. I love that one a lot, for sure.
I will say, anybody who is a fan of your comps, of the sets, we took the comp creator. We have him now. He's coming to our Big Brother for this summer, Big Brother 18. So get ready. Yeah. I can't wait. I thought your sets far and away blew away any sets we've done on ours.
For sure.
What did Lisa MLT wants to know? What did you think of the brothers' game throughout the season? Now getting to kind of watch the full scope of their game. What have you thought about their game?
I mean, everyone in the house knew that those kids were kids. Love you, boys. Those guys.
They're kids.
Yeah, they're young, but they're amazing. Everyone knew that they were floating and that they never wanted any blood on their hands, and they were just not suck up to whoever's in power, but whoever was in power, they'd obviously be their, friend. We were onto them the whole game, and it was almost a next week we'll get them. Dallas at one point, I think that's also where I was in the episodes, really wanted them out, and he caught on to it before I did. How much they were really trying to float back. But I feel that's kind of, to an extent, what I was doing, but just not as much in the middle. I wasn't afraid to take a side. In fact, I wanted to take a side. Mm-hmm. I personally think in the game, the best position, and this is me personally, I'm not speaking for anyone else, is to be the last on the pecking order of the minority, because then you're overlooked. It's like, and that's always what I was. And Peter Brown, who hosts the Sideshow, he summed it up perfectly. And I was like, when I heard it, I was like, I was always that and person. So it was like, we're going to get Dallas, we're going to get Maddie, and we're going to get Ramsey, or we're going to get the brothers, we're going to get Cassandra, and we're going to get Ramsey. It was like, I was never the first, but I was in that, I wasn't afraid to be a target, but I wanted to be the last one they'd come after. And then when I'm alone, I'm like, guys, I'm alone. Just use me. Take me to the end. And then hopefully when I get to the end, I can kind of plead my case.
I think Dallas does not get enough credit for his game. Like you said, he wanted to go after the brothers. He tried to.
I agree with you.
To the brothers' credit, as much as that was what they were doing, it worked. Nobody took him out. And
exactly.
They won.
And that's why when it came down to Kelsey and the brothers, obviously I never had a jury vote, but I was if I voted, that was another question I would have voted the brothers.
Yep.
I felt like they did that strategy and got as far as they could have gotten. And if it was not for them winning HOH, then Kelsey, then them, then Kelsey, they would have been eliminated. So they won the competitions when they needed to be won, and you can't take that away from them. And so for that reason, kudos to you, boys. You deserve it.
They did. I think they, I mean, it's hard to argue against anybody that wins the game and say anything they didn't do didn't work.
But there's obviously luck involved, and that's for any winner.
Yeah, I think that's true for any of them. Did you, Sebastian D wants to know, did you hear Big Brother saying Ramsey nap time is over to you a lot?
Oh my God, that stupid nap time is over. Honestly, like the very next morning I woke up in my real life, after I left the hospital, I went to sleep, I heard the rooster call it was just in my ear. Sometimes I heard it, sometimes I did it. I knew that they were on to me with the nap time is over. I think I was one of the worst. It was like me, Raul, and Dallas were pretty bad. But man, it's tough. You stay up late and you're just so tired in the day. I don't know. But yeah, I did hear it.
Connie Thurman wants to know in the chat room, what did you think of Tim forfeiting that final HOH?
I have no idea. I was in studio that finale night, and I was kept away because of coming out last, a jury vote and stuff like that. So I have no idea what happened. Like I haven't watched that far in the episodes. I just have no idea yet. But apparently he threw something. I just don't understand.
He forfeited. He quit. He literally said, I forfeit the fight part 2 of HOH. Kelsey, you won. Congratulations. He just gave it to her.
Oh.
After not so. Okay, but that's fine. You didn't get there yet. Tweet it out. That's a reason you should follow at Ramsey BB Can. When he gets up to that, he will tweet out what he thought.
I will tweet out what I think as I watch.
What so many people want to know, what did you think of Slop? Was it as bad as you thought it would be?
It's time and time again, you'll see it. The first 2 days, whoever's on Slop is like, this is easy, I'll get it. But just when you eat never mind slop, if we give you the same food that's like not that good and just feed it to you, that's the only thing you can eat, and you have to sleep on that stupid floor, man, it gets to you. And like your energy's drained. I fasted. I was like, I'm not eating it. I ate maybe once or twice a day. And I was like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to drink a lot of water. I lost 12 pounds. I've been the lightest I had been in my life.
Right.
And when I came out of the house, my mom was worried. She's like, Ramsey, you're so skinny. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm already skinny, but now I'm even skinnier. It's like, was that even possible? But Slop did it. Yeah, it's terrible.
Aside from Slop, Debbie M wants to know, did anything surprise you going into the house? Like you said, you weren't a super fan. You were kind of new to it. Yeah. So did anything shock you being in that house, or was different?
Honestly, like, I think it shocked me that I don't think you need to necessarily be a super fan of the show to do good at that game. I think that when you get in the house, it comes down to sheer like social, common sense. And like in my real life, I'm a social butterfly, and like I understood that sometimes you don't want to be this middle floater because people view you as a target. Like Mitch, they knew that he was everywhere and they got him out obviously because of a twist. But that's not to say we wouldn't have been onto him had that not happened. So I was just shocked that like I was able to, play, I think, as well as I did. But not having watched a lot of show, I think that it was so amazing to see the house from TV after you'd lived in it, because it looks so much bigger and it looks like so awesome. And yeah, I'm just it's funny. It was just a funny season, and I loved it. I loved every single second of it.
Sherry J, and I saw a few other people say it too, want to know, how long did it take for you and Nick to make up your rap song?
Oh man, that was funny. That took a few, like maybe 1 hour, 2 hours. Like that's another thing that wasn't really aired. Me and Nick freestyled all the time. That was our thing. We were, for whatever reason, I rhyme cat with hat. I'm a Dr. Seuss fan, and like late night we would just be like rapping all the time, and we'd have one of us hit the beat and the other one would just like rap whatever, and it's like whatever came to our mind. So we're like, instead of just doing it like off the top, why don't we just like make an actual song for our international house guests, and who knows what will come out of it. And so yeah, it took about an hour, maybe 2 hours.
Well, I don't know if you heard, Ramsey,
but
they won. They have a lot of money now. Yeah. I think it's time to have someone book a studio for some recording.
We joked around about that in the house. We're like, let's book a studio, but I don't know if it'll ever happen. I mean, who knows? Mitch is like, he's his vocalist. This guy, he's got vocals. So like maybe he's got an in on a studio.
Oh, duh. He has a studio. Go to Mitch.
Done. We're going to go. Me and the brothers are going to visit Mitch. We're going to come out with a song for the fans. And yeah, who knows?
Hashtag trademark. Now I get 10%. I want to let everybody know super duper quickly. We have about 10 minutes left. Don't forget, number one fan, you are going to win Ramsey's autograph. Right now it's Somb Green 1999, but there's 10 minutes left. Alicia wants to know, who have you been in touch with the most since leaving the house? And I am going to take Maddie off the table.
Yeah. Aside from Maddie, because she stayed in Toronto an extra week and I kind of showed her around, I'd say Dallas, probably.
Oh, Dallas.
Yeah, me and Dallas are great friends. But like, we have a group message. I talk to all of them: Raul, Kelsey, Mitch, Cassandra, Joel, name it. I talked to him. Christine.
What was your
Levita?
Levita. Who doesn't love a Levita?
Actually, Levita was the first person I seen out from the house, outside of the house, and God bless that girl. I love her to death.
I agree. Levita loves you. Levita loves you. As a friend, I mean, Levita loves you. Who are you? Who do you think you are going to remain the closest with now that the season's over?
I think I'm that friend that typically reaches out. Like, I do a great job at trying to maintain my connections regardless of where they are, in the country. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I feel like I'm going to remain close with all of them. Sure, I'm not going to see the ones who are outside of Ontario as much as I'll see the ones in Ontario, but I honestly don't think one over the other.
If you got the chance to go back and play for All-Stars or as a twist, I know we talked about it a little bit before, which people will have to go back and watch what your answer was because you crashed the chat room. But they came back instantly. If you had to go back and play again, though, would you skip a showmance or not?
Honestly, so I told myself not to get into showmance this season. I said, like, don't do it, stupid. But it's like, again, you'll never know what it feels like to be in that house unless you're in that house. And sometimes it's just nice to have a partner of the opposite sex to just kick it with. Because at the end of the day, I knew I was going to closely align with a girl because I wanted, from previous seasons, I always noticed that it would come down to like guys versus girls at some point. And I wanted to have it in if that ever happened. And so I never really cared. Like, I never looked for a showmance, but it kind of just happened. So here I am now saying that I wouldn't want a showmance for an All-Star season or a future season, but
never know. You never know. I'm going to say I think you would. My money would be, unless things obviously, who knows, no pressure. But if, who knows? All I'm saying is, I think you are an emotional for the good person. And I think emotional people do better with other emotional support.
Yeah, of course. I agree with you. I agree. And that's actually part of sorry to cut you off. No. Part of my strategies whenever I would campaign or I talk game with people was never to talk game the way Cassandra spoke game. And it was because Cassandra spoke game on a very non-emotional level, you know what I mean? And I was a very emotional person. I tried to game like that in my first week and it did nothing but hurt me. I blew out with Dallas. I was like, I'm going to play all sides. I'm going to work with, this person and that person. But I figure that to get furthest in the game, you need to stick true to who you are. And if you do that, you're going to be the strongest you can be. And for me, so when I spoke to people, it was always on a very emotional level. Like when I, am gaming with Eric, I'm going to talk about who he is outside the house, what he loves to do outside the house. Does he share the connection and love for his family like I do? And I wanted my heart to speak to their heart, as opposed to just strategy, all the time. I still did that, but yeah.
A few quick questions. Are you going to watch Our Big Brother 18?
Yes, I'm in. I'm a fan now.
Okay, you're a fan. You're in. Are you going to come to the Big Brother the Big Brother 18 premiere party in New York City?
When is it?
June 22nd. Talk to Levita, her, Cassandra, the brothers, Kelsey. They're all going.
I know. I don't know yet. Depends if I'm busy that week. But if I'm not, you can bet I'm going to be there because I want to meet all of them like they came. I loved the fact that some U.S. people came to Canada for Niagara Falls, so I want to do the same thing.
Get in their trunk.
Just jump in. Or maybe fit in a luggage. I'm too tall to go in a luggage. So yeah, maybe the trunk.
Yeah.
Or we could put a canoe to the top and I could lay in the canoe.
I think Jared is in charge of the douche canoe. So, Jared, waiting for you to still come on, buddy. Okay.
So funny when I found that out. Oh my God. People on Twitter kill me, man. I love it. Even the negative comments, whatever. It's some of it's rude, but for the most part, 99% of it, I can laugh it off. You know what I mean? I think it's hilarious.
If you can't laugh it off, why are you on TV? Well, that's what we do. We find the funny in it, everybody. We have to find the funny. It's not serious. It's a game. Like we always say, at the end of the day, you don't play Monopoly with your family and go, Mom, you need the money. Here's all my money. I quit. Goodbye. It's a game.
Yeah.
And we're playing a game. It's happening playing it with people. Ramsey, is there anything that you didn't get to address that you want to talk about, that you want to explain before we wrap it up?
Not really. I think the two things that I believe, the first thing was the spread your cheeks. I thought that was hilarious. And I'm happy that I didn't care really to put it to rest, but because it came up in conversation, it's totally fine. And no, we did nothing, whether you want to believe it or not. Nothing happened in that house sexually. We never had sex or anything like that. And I know tons of people think that. I think that's hilarious. And no, the other thing is I thought it was so funny how for the beginning parts of the season, it was they weren't really showing me and people misinterpreted not getting TV time, for lack of a better word, meant that they weren't playing the game or that they were boring and stuff like that. But I just took it as a huge compliment. I was like, wow, obviously, I was under the radar. I was never in the spotlight, never had a target on my back. And I thought I was in an amazing position if I stayed in that house. And, if, for whatever reason, if that never happened, I think I would have done really well in the game. I really believe that. But everything happens for a reason, and I'm happy.
Well, you know who else believes it, Ramsey?
Who?
Your fans, the tons and tons of ones that are in here. We couldn't even get to all of their questions. Ramsey, what do you want to specifically say to your fans, all the people in here right now supporting you?
I was just going to cut you off even and just say to everyone who supported me, I want to look you guys right in the face here and just say thank you so much. You have no idea how much it meant to me. You have no idea how much it meant to my family and my dad. You guys are so supportive. You're amazing. I do as much as I can to be on Twitter. I love Snapchat before Big Brother, and everyone knows that I'm all over Snapchat because I've always done Snapchat. I never just started it because of Big Brother.
Right.
So if you ever want to get in contact with me, I do whatever I can to respond to everyone just to say thank you. And just know that very soon I will be doing some sort of Canadian tour. It's going to be with some other people, but it's just a way for me to say thank you to every single person across Canada who ever emit positive energy towards me or thank me. You guys are honestly the best, and I can't wait to meet you or hug you or take a photo with you sometime in the future.
But wait a minute, Ramsey. You don't have our phone number, or it's too many people's houses to come to. So how are we going to find this information out? Where can we find you on social media?
So the easiest thing to do is there's this awesome place you can go online. It's called Google. Okay. And you can just search Ramsey Big Brother. And for the most part, you'll find where my Twitter is, my Instagram is, and my Snapchat is, and my Facebook. But just so everyone is aware, the two things that I use the most are Instagram and Snapchat. Those are the places where I'll get back to my fans all the time. Even on Twitter, I use Twitter, and especially now BB18's coming up, you'll find me on there. But my Twitter is Ramsey BB My Instagram is the official Ramsey, and my Snapchat is Ramsey Charming. For the most part, I try and connect them all. Like if you go to one social media, you'll find the information for the rest. But follow me on them. I love engaging and talking to you guys. I think it's amazing. I always stay humble. I'll always talk to you guys if I can. And yeah, can't wait, like I said, to connect in the future. Well,
I will say this. All of the links to all of Ramsey's social media is below this video on our website. And you can get the links to all the social media accounts for all the Big Brother players on our website. Dana did a great post for that.
Thank you, Dana. I know you haven't been here to speak. Oh, I love you so much. I'm so happy I got to hug you when I was in the house. Dana's amazing, guys. You and all reality recaps, you guys are awesome. And continue following them. They put out some amazing stuff.
Thank you, Ramsey. She says hi, and she loves your Snapchat too. Yes. And so follow Ramsey. All the links are below here. John Richardson and his mom are going to be live probably in about 15 minutes. So come back in 15 minutes for the final Survivor show. And we'll be back here tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern with Kelsey. And it's Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with Maddie.
Yes, I'll tune into that one specifically. Get all the dirt.
Okay, I got an idea. I'll tell you in 1 sec. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye.